So in this segment, I want to discuss Starmer giving back some of the gifts or bribes, however you want to describe it, that he received since becoming Prime Minister. So he received gifts, we're going to keep calling it that, it's fine if you want to get mad in the comments or if you want to correct me in the comments, whatever. But he received, some of them after becoming Prime Minister, and before the ones he received after becoming Prime Minister, he decided to hand back or, pays back 6k in gifts, including the Taylor Swift ticket. Obviously, with those kind of concert tickets, it's not just the monetary value, it's also the opportunity cost as well, because those sort of tickets are very hard to get. I think it was the FA that gave it to them, and the FA would get some preferential treatment because they obviously run the Football Association, and this concert was held at a stadium. Well, some of these concerts were held at stadiums. And this is the key here, the attempt to draw a line under the story, but raises questions as to why he hasn't given back the rest. And so all it does is just more stupid politics from him. He should give back all of it, or none of it, because all you're doing is prolonging this story. And that's one of the things Labour don't understand. They don't understand how to kind of kill off a story or how to move things onwards, I guess. They don't seem to have the media credentials to understand how to kill off a news story. And all they're doing is keeping it in the news cycle by giving back some of it and not all of it. This from Steve Swinford. At the time, saying Keir Starmer paid back 6k worth of hospitality and gifts he has received since entering number 10, including 6 Taylor Swift tickets, 4 tickets to Doncaster races, and a clothing rental agreement with the designer Edeline Lee for his wife. But he has kept £6,000 worth of clothes and personal support for his wife, £920 worth of Tottenham Hotspur tickets, and £1,000 for attending an Arsenal game. He also kept the £32,000 worth of suits and £2,485 worth of glasses, and again, I would look for a refund on those, dog, because you look awful. It's not clear the logic he's applying here. Why give back the football Why keep the football tickets but not the Swift tickets? Oh, sorry, other way around. Why keep the football tickets but not the Swift tickets? It also doesn't apply to his ministers, many of whom have accepted thousands of pounds in gifts, including David Lammy. Angela Rayner declared £836 for a visit to a DJ booth while partying in Ibiza. So again, I don't understand. I don't get the logic here at all. I've not seen anyone really discuss it that much. And one of the questions kind of people asking is, would he have paid them back if he didn't get called out on it? And that's one of the things a lot of the pro-Labour goons don't understand, is that they seem to think like we can just sit back and hope for the best when it comes to Labour. But the reality is this:
we don't just sit back and hope for the best. We'll make the best happen.
And that's why you have to keep pressuring the government, even if it's the government you want. You still have to put pressure on them. You still have to effectively say to them, you will earn our votes next time around, or you'll be out.
Why is it okay just before he's Prime Minister, but not okay just after he's Prime Minister?
So this is about receiving the gifts or freebies or bribes, whatever you want to call it.
Because he's realised that there's been a problem in terms of the perception in the public. It's been transparently put onto the register. He wants to clean up politics. That was one of the big things he said before the election.
Okay.
And my goodness, it needs.
But then, it looks like you've been put into a position where you've been bullied. This idea of, we've declared it, therefore it's fine. All that means is we have a better idea of who has bribed you into certain policies. And we'll be talking about that when it comes to the carbon capture video I'll be working on as well. Because there's so much going on right now, it's hard to keep up. But what Labour did is, effectively they're wasting about £22 billion on carbon capture. It's ridiculous.
Needs cleaned up.
Okay.
And the rules were changed. So he wants to, what he has done is he's paid for these in advance of the review that's going to come forward in terms of the ministerial code.
The man there in the black t-shirt.
Yeah, would he have paid for them if we hadn't called him out?
This is the key question. I don't think he would have paid for. I don't think he would have done it if he didn't get called out. If his poll rating didn't start tanking. If there wasn't story after story after story about tickets for this, that, and the other.
If it hadn't been picked up, would he have put himself forward and said, I've taken these gifts, I need to pay for them? No, he wouldn't. He would not have paid for them. Until we called him out, he would not have paid for them.
Well, the review of the ministerial code happens under every new government, and the review started well before.
But that's a different.
And Boris Johnson's version of the ministerial code, I don't know how outdated it's been, but it's about the perception as well. And when you've taken money from oil companies, it kind of looks a bit dodgy when you do, carbon capture programs instead of building, more offshore wind and things like that. There's other things as well. We've talked about the football regulator and taking tickets from the FA. It's just incredibly bad optically.
Chris, you're asking would he have paid the money back? In fact, I don't know whether you can be inside the mind of Keir Starmer, but certainly there's been an awful lot of adverse publicity about it. Woman here in the front.
Hello. Question. If you go to Taylor Swift concert, you don't think, I'm going to do some work, sir. So why do you take a gift like that in the first place?
Actually, do you know, he's had 10 tickets to Taylor Swift.
Wow.
So he's
I didn't realise he was such a big Swiftie.
dead keen or else his family dead kid. Yeah, I don't know. Wendy.
So I think it is interesting that the Prime Minister has chosen to give a certain amount of things back. And I think Ian is right to call out the difference between the Ministerial Register and the MP's Register of Interest. It is publicly available. That's potentially, in response to David's point, something needs to be thought about in terms of how accessible the public...
What he's got to do, really, he's got to stitch a Lord Ali logo onto his suit, along with one from the FA as well, so that we really know, it's really drilled into the public who sponsors him.
Feel that clearly is an issue. But the Ministerial Register, I mean, during the last government, we had a situation where the Ministerial Register was not published for over a year. It was only updated on a quarterly basis. And at that time, that was sort of post-Boris Johnson, we had, frankly, a fairground merry-go-round of ministers coming on and off of government. And
that was a big problem. I'm glad they're kind of making it more transparent. I feel like they've been pushed into that position more than anything. But Labour seem to be of the opinion that if we announce it and we declare it, therefore it's fine, which I think is still completely wrong. I think it should be you take no gifts. And if you want to say, oh, MPs don't get paid enough or whatever, cool, go to the British public and tell them that we deserve more money, and you see the reaction. I dare you to go do it. If you think you deserve more money and you think you can stand on that on a manifesto, go and do it. Let's see if you're strong enough to do that. Because honestly, I don't, this idea of taking gifts because they don't get paid enough. They get paid more than enough. Let's be honest now.
To bring in a duo for tonight, Andrew Fisher and Henry Newman. Honestly, I can't believe how often we're talking about this story, and there will be viewers throwing things at the TV saying, look, it's you and the media who are flamming this up. But it does feel like there's just another twist or another line on the story almost every day. Andrew, how is Labour going to start?
If they wanted to kill this story, all they had to do was say, we're not taking any more gifts, any more of this donor money. That's it. We're done. We're done. That's all they had to say. And it would have killed the story. And then they could have said, oh, we're going to draw a line under it. We're going to change the rules around this so that no MP can do this. And therefore, our money comes directly from the public. And that's who the people we govern for.
Shut it down.
I think it's really resonated because at the same time as all this has come out, Labour is taking £300 away from pensioners who are on £11,500. And when you've got somebody who's on a six-figure salary going, I need someone else to buy my suits, my glasses, my concert tickets, a frock for the wife, it just looks odd. It looks dodgy, frankly.
Especially when, you're putting some of these suits and stuff through as office support. So I think the actual amount that he's taken is about 60 grand. What are you spending 60 G's on?
And people are just a bit like, well, lots of people go to work in a suit. Lots of people have to pay for tickets and save up for tickets to Taylor Swift, or even quite good artists to take their kids to.
I love that.
Burn.
My Twitter mentions are dead now. But it's a new cohort I've offended. But, that people do save up for these things. And I think it just looks really bad when politicians go, yeah, I'll have that.
Henry, are you going to come in and defend Taylor Swift? What's your...
I didn't go to see Taylor Swift. It's great thing, I'm sure. I think... I actually agree with Andrew. I think this is really difficult for Labour. I think there is a hypocrisy charge for Keir Starmer. He promised to clean up politics. He made a massive deal about this. And then he's come in and many of his ministers have done exactly the same things that they criticised the last government for doing. Angela Rayner criticised Boris Johnson for taking a holiday paid for by a donor, but then had a holiday paid for by Lord Ali at then...
That's not 100% true. I think she says she paid for the flights and stuff, but they stayed at, Lord Ali's penthouse or wherever in New York. So, it's a bit dodgy, that one, the way he's phrased it. But he's still not wrong. Even if he made the correct point there, he's still not wrong.
Turned out that her then friend also stayed with her, but he didn't declare it despite the fact that he was an MP. It's all just quite difficult. And then there's the scale of donations. I mean, I am willing to defend the principle of donations in politics, but...
I'm not.
£22,000 on suits is a lot. And I think it's just also an example of this Downing Street not really being very good at politics. Why do this U-turn that's only a partial U-turn? No one seems to really understand why Keir Starmer's paid back £6,000 and not more. And I think there are other dimensions to this story as well. There are the appointments to the civil service of people with very political backgrounds. Now, that has never happened
under the previous government.
It's never happened before at that level. So
it has happened before under the Conservatives. If you want to argue the scale of it, that's something where I'm not 100% sure about. But it did happen under David Cameron, where they did get political kind of advisors and things into the civil service. So again, he's been disingenuous here.
There's been a relatively young woman who's 34 years old. I think she may be one of the youngest directors general in Whitehall, Emily Middleton. Her company, of which she was a partner, donated to Peter Kyle. He declared that in the parliamentary register. We don't know if he told his department about that donation when he asked for her appointment. Now that's
and again, this kind of stuff here, when it hits the public, people can see straight through it. It's obvious. They gave you a donation. They gave you X. You've given them a job, which is Y. It's so brazen, honestly. And this is from Robert Peston here. On Starmer's repayment of more than 6k, these are all gifts he and his wife Victoria received since the election. His argument, which eluded me when listening to him just now in Brussels, but I've subsequently twigged, is that the ethics of receiving gifts are different for a PM who wants to restore confidence in politics than for a leader of the opposition. Again, I just don't see this distinction, especially when you knew chances were you were going to win the election. So this idea of being a prime minister and being a leader of the opposition, in the midst of an election, I just don't see the distinction. Peston goes on to say, so on this version, only post 4th of July gifts need to be repaid, excluding the tickets of his beloved Arsenal, because going to the Emirates is ingrained in his life and it's not his fault for the safety reasons. Again, I think that's complete garbage. Honestly, complete garbage. How can you say you're in the politics of service and you can't go watch it, you can't stop watching your football club for 5 years or 10 years? It's complete, honestly. Peston says, I'm told, however, he doesn't believe his ministerial colleagues need to repay back their post-election freebies, including the Swift tickets, because implicitly they are lesser mortals he leads, they don't have to follow. But again, if you're telling us you're a prime minister who wants to clean up politics, and by repaying these gifts, you're trying to say you're going to clean up politics, then surely the rest of the team have to follow suit and also do the same stuff, because otherwise their hands are still tainted with this scandal. It doesn't fully make sense to me, to be honest with you. But I think he's incredibly stupid for doing this. I think you either stand on business and you say we're taking gifts, we're taking donations, we're up for sale, or you say we're giving back all of it, and saying, look, we're going to draw a line under this, and that the public are right, perception is important, and we're going to change the rules that no MP can receive donations or gifts like this. None. And that's what you should have done, really, and you would have killed the Conservative Party by doing that, because they're reliant on gifts, donations and bribes as well. But this man doesn't understand politics. He doesn't understand how to play the game at all. Whoops, that's the wrong thing. And that's going to be his biggest problem. We're going to be discussing the situation with Sue Gray in a different video. Maybe this one will come out first, I don't know yet. But the simple fact is, this is a guy who doesn't understand how the media works at all. And he's brought in probably a team that's not that far off in terms of incompetence from Boris Johnson. Let's be honest now, he's bungling from one scandal to another scandal to another scandal, keeps adding to it, doesn't know how to kill a story, and this is going to keep rampaging on. And I think this is important, these kind of things, because these affect policies, which we'll actually be discussing in a different video. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, support the channel on Patreon if you can, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.